Hey everyone, good morning. All right. Hmm. So we have seen uh, what does it means by an internal and external users. Moreover, we also have discussed what is a Salesforce community, digital experiences, and how to build up the community. Also, I have given you one of the introduction of that. Now let me start with the kind of licenses we are going to use and what does it means by the internal users particularly. Like, see, if you go to the setup and then you go to the company profile over here, and then when you make a click onto the company information, so now onto this particular place, we'll get the list of all of the licenses that are available inside this organization, inside this edition. Now out of all these licenses, the most powerful license is the Salesforce license. And why we are learning this, first of all, let me come to one of the small thing. Just let me revise it to you guys. So understand one thing. Whenever we create a user, at the time of user creation, let me try to get the diagram. User creation steps. All right. See, I mean, few lectures back, I have told you that whenever we create a new user inside the Salesforce, we must allot him a license and a profile. These two things are particularly mandatory. These two things are particularly mandatory thing. Every user must have a license and a corresponding profile. Every user must have a license and a corresponding profile. Role is something that is an optional entity. So at the time of creation of the user, you can assign him a role, or it could be assigned later on as well. Or even if a user doesn't seems to have a role, that is perfectly fine. So ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको रोल देना ही बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. रोल दिया जा सकता है यूजर क्रिएशन के वक्त या फिर यूजर क्रिएट करने के बाद, और आप चाहें तो अगर आप से रोल नहीं भी देते हो तो ये भी ठीक है. So basically there are three different steps considered while we create a new user. The first is to give him a license, and then second is to give him a profile and give him a role if it's required. If it is mentioned in the organization hierarchy, then you would have to give him. Otherwise, चलता है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. So, because see, understand, हम क्या करने वाले हैं कि we are about to create few new users inside the Salesforce. And by this, you would understand how we can create the users. Because see, as a part of administrator, this is your responsibility. As a part of Salesforce administrator, this is your responsibility to create the user, manage their functionalities, manage their permissions, manage their profiles and everything. Now, this is something called as user management. ये जिस बारे में मैं अभी डिस्कस कर रहा था, this is something called as a user management. Now, user management is one of the very important activity as considered. It's a very important activity which is considered and which is being expected from one of the Salesforce administrator. And that is the reason, guys, we are learning something called as licenses. So when we talk about licenses, there are so many licenses, and how to get the list of all licenses. You'll have to go with setup menu and then company profile. And when you make a click on company information, there you would going to, I mean, when you scroll it a little bit down, so you're going to see this table. This table eventually would show you all of the licenses that are available with your addition of Salesforce. And it could be differ. देखिए ऐसा नहीं है कि ये license, most of the times they are same. But in some of the cases, it depends on like what type of addition you are using. These licenses, what you're seeing right now, they are the licenses Now they are the licenses being provided in the developer edition, all right? And when you start working, I mean, and you will get a copy of your license version, maybe enterprise edition or maybe an unlimited edition. That time also, if you wanted to see how many licenses I do have, so you just have to follow the same navigation once again. And you just have to make a click on that company profile and later on the company information, and you're going to get the list of all licenses. Now see, every license serves a different kind of functionality. In the last session, I have discussed this. Every license is for a different set of functionality. I'm going to talk about Salesforce and platform license. These two are internal licenses that we do have. Salesforce, as a copy of Salesforce, we were having only 2 licenses. With the developer edition, you would get only 2 licenses. That to be one of them is already consumed, and you remains with you are having only 1 license. There's only 1 license remaining which I can use. Now, how come this 1 license already have been consumed? For that, now if I go with manage users, see, when we created this org, how we created, we go to developer.salesforce.com, right? Now inside over here, this interface has been completely changed. I'll also have to find out where was that button, sign me up or something, like there was a button, if I'm not wrong. I'll have to check it out. But anyways, we fill up this form, and then you have given your username, right? So that time I have given your batch username, training batch 208, whatever, right? So what happened after filling up these forms and everything? We know the process of our creation, so that we did it in like in the beginning of our class, we did it. So once I have given that username, I preferred this user, SFDC training batch 208@gmail.com. Now, with this username, one user was being created inside this org. And this user becomes the system administrator by default. Whenever you create a user from here, all right, from the developer.salesforce.com, so that user becomes a system administrator by default. Now, system administrator, this is a profile. System administrator is a profile which always have a Salesforce license. It's always have you cannot assign any separate license to a profile. And see, you would be going to understand one more thing over here, which I think you have to identify. Licenses, they are tightly coupled with the profiles or vice versa. I could also that profiles are tightly coupled with the licenses. Now, what does it means? It actually means when you select a profile, when you select a particular profile, there is a fixed license for that. And you would be going to see this. Don't worry. You would going to see this. कि जब आप एक प्रोफाइल सिलेक्ट करोगे तो उस प्रोफाइल के साथ में कौन सा लाइसेंस दिया जाता है, वो अपने आप पॉपअप हो जाएगा. आप देखेंगे इस चीज को अभी एक यूजर इंटरफेस में. जब मैं यूजर क्रिएशन के लिए आपको लेके जाऊंगा तब आप देखेंगे एक जगह पे कि मैं द फर्स्ट थिंग व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू सेलेक्ट वुड बी अ प्रोफाइल. ऑलराइट, फर्स्ट थिंग दैट आई एम गोइंग टू सेलेक्ट वुड बी अ प्रोफाइल. And as and when I select the profile, what are the applicable licenses? Those are going to be listed out automatically. So there is a tight integration. There is a tight integration between profile and licenses. And licenses are fixed for the profile. Profiles are fixed for the license. Chetna, please off your video. So there is a tight integration between these two. There's a very tight integration between these two. और ये ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि आप कोई भी प्रोफाइल के साथ कोई भी लाइसेंस ले सकते हो, नहीं. इसका अपना बना बनाया एक सेट है. And you'll have to follow the same thing. That is something we are going to see right now. तो जब हमने ये और create किया, at the same moment itself, the one user was created with system administrator profile, and which is having a Salesforce license. Now, initially in the beginning, when this org was being created, when this organization was being formed, we have been provided with 2 Salesforce license, but with this user, one of them was consumed, Now we remains with, one license. This is the most powerful license, Salesforce. What could happen with this license? What are the functionalities you could access? With this developer org, because this one just is a testing, we get this. Let me show you something. In real time, there are so many licenses. It depends what kind of edition you are using. And you could extend that in real time with the paid version. If you would require more Salesforce licenses, you could draft an email to Salesforce, support.salesforce.com, and you can write it to them that I have exhausted with all my Salesforce licenses. I wanted to buy a few more. And then by paying that whatever the amount is required, and we have seen for the enterprise edition it's $150 per user. For the unlimited edition, it's $300 per user. You can simply get, like, some more Salesforce licenses. Let me try to show you something. This one actually is an enterprise edition sandbox. See, if I go with organization edition, you can see it's an enterprise edition. This one is a sandbox. Every sandbox is always listed out with CS. It's not AP, it's not EMEA, it's not US. Every sandbox are always listed with CS. So whenever you see CS, understand this one is a sandbox. Now see, there is only few licenses. I told you licenses, they differs. In the developer edition, you can see there are so many licenses. And with the paid version, there's only few. Why it is like that? The intention of Salesforce while giving you a developer edition is to make you learn. And why we create developer edition environment? Because we are under training. All right, we are under learning process of the Salesforce. That's the reason Salesforce has listed out all of them. आप भी सोचिए ना, जहां paid version में you will get only Salesforce chatter free, chatter external identity. You even not get platform license over here. जब पेड वर्जन में इतने कम लाइसेंसेस हैं तो फिर फ्री में इतने ज्यादा क्यों है? उसका रीजन बहुत साफ है. Salesforce is motivated towards make you learn. Developer edition is created to learn something. That is the reason Salesforce has given you the list of all licenses whatever it have, and there is no license which left. हाँ, आप पेड वर्जन पे जाओगे तो आपको वहां कम लाइसेंस मिलेंगे. You will have only few licenses, but when you are on to the free version of the Salesforce, it would give the list of complete license so that you could learn about them, you could use them, you could understand. Okay, there's many different types of users we could create inside depending upon the kind of functionality. If you, for example, if you are learning community with this developer edition, you would require so many community licenses that are listed over here. If you are learning the collaboration cloud, you would require chatter external, chatter free. They are over there. If you're learning something else, if you're learning Einstein, you probably would require an identity user over there. So because Salesforce doesn't know what you would be going to learn with developer edition, that is the reason every license has been given over here. And that's very fantastic. It's an amazing thing. आप भी सोचिए ना, बिना पैसा दिए आपको सारी चीजों का flavor मिल रहा है. It is something like you go to Baskin Robbins, right? And there you could test every ice cream. Baskin Robbins have this policy, and they have they mention in their walls, if you don't want it to buy, no problem. Just taste every ice cream over there. And that's how it all started in India. I mean, other people, other ice cream man, or whatever, right? They other brands, they are also following the same thing. But this was started with Baskin Robbins. So when you come to their shop, you could test everything free of cost, right? In a small quantity, of course. ऐसा नहीं कि सब कुछ free में मिल जाएगा. So this is why the Salesforce has given you every flavor over here, right? But with the paid version, see, there's like Salesforce chatter and external, and it depends like what kind of edition I'm using. Over here, I mean, there was 1,000 licenses initially, and we have asked for 100 more. Now, out of this, like, it's an old data. Let me try to show you the production. It's an old data, because when this sandbox was created, this was the scene. All 1,100 was consumed. But recently, I freed so many licenses, and I think somewhere around like 200 licenses now we are remaining, if I'm not wrong. This was old data. Let me now try to show you something like company profile. And this is directly on the production. Now see, oh, we are having 1300 licenses. Like they have increased 100 more, 200 more, I'm not wrong. And out of that 1088 has been consumed, we are left with 212 licenses, right? So this is the most powerful license, consider. This is the most powerful license. And it all depends here between organization to organization. It depends what type of licenses you are asking to them. Let me try to show you something more. If my creds are still working, I could show you, otherwise no. Because मैं अभी उस project पे काम नहीं कर रहा हूँ. So sometime it might happen that administrator would send the. Let me try to make a login first over there. तो मैं आपको एक चीज और दिखा सकता हूँ. Oh yes. Usually I don't record this, but then I feel चलो ठीक है, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, जाने दो. See, so this is one another project. This is another sandbox. I'll just try to show you the same thing from here as well. So once again, if I go to like, company information, and if I wanted to see what edition this is and how many licenses I do have with this, I'll just go with this one. See, this one is an unlimited edition, all right? This one is an unlimited edition. That means this organization, United Way, they have to pay $300 per user per month. And if you wanted to see how many users we are, we can even see that as well. So they were having 52 Salesforce license, not big. Out of that, 21 has been consumed and 31 we are remaining. They also have this remaining licenses. So it's all like, guys, it's all depend on organization to organization. Now, this is a small organization. So when they contacted the Salesforce and they said that we wanted an unlimited edition, by the way. So for unlimited edition, you'll have to pay $300. For the enterprise edition, you'll have to pay $150. All right. Now, why they have selected, you can simply assume. हम तो Indian से हम जानते हैं bargaining कैसा होता है, and we try to save the money every time. Right? We are very good in this all money managements and money strategies. So because see why they have used enterprise edition, you can simply calculate this. You can simply assume it from here. There are so many users with this organization. And if they would require, if they would ask for, unlimited edition, they simply would require 1300 multiplied by 3. That's $39,000. It's a big cost. Understand? 13 threes are 39. That's $3,900. No, $39,000. And now they cut it to like enterprise edition, simply, half of that. It's, for example, it's like $40, 40,000. Now they would only require 20,000, half of. Functionalities is almost same. There are only few things that is not present with the enterprise edition. Most of the things are there. So this is the reason why this organization, because they were in a demand of so many Salesforce licenses, and that's why they selected enterprise. Now this organization, on the other hand, they were having a very lesser amount of users. So they asked just for the 52 licenses. Because there were lesser amount of users, they have selected like unlimited edition. So 5 days of 15, somewhere around like, $15,600, somewhere around this. So it all depends, like, what is the Salesforce would eventually, when you ask for them for a paid version, there is a team, there's a marketing team, and there's a strategic, team which would interact with you and which would try to identify how many users you are about to create. And according to this, they would suggest either to go with unlimited or enterprise edition. But ultimately, it's your call. Final would be your call. What you have to decide. Chaliye. But with our edition, developer edition, let's come back. We have only 2 licenses, That to be one already have been consumed, right? One already have been consumed. Where? When we have created that user. Now, apart from this, there's one another license, which is platform. I wanted to highlight one thing about Salesforce. See, Salesforce license is also called as a full copy license or a standard Salesforce license. Read this sentence. This would provide you the access on every standard and every custom functionality. So if you're having a Salesforce license, by the way, you could access every functionality of Salesforce within the Salesforce, whatever is there. All right. Every standard and every custom functionalities. That means all of the standard and its custom applications. Let's start with the application. That also means all of the standard and the custom objects. It also means everything. So somebody who is having a Salesforce license, he can access everything. All right, he can access everything. The second to Salesforce is a platform license. Now with this platform license, although you will get an access to all of the custom functionalities, with a platform license, you would going to get the access on all of the custom functionalities. Custom functionalities means every custom object, every custom application. And when we talk about the standard, there is only a few objects that you could access. You can, with the platform license, you can only access account, contact, document, task, events, chatter. And there are a few more you're going to see. I haven't listed out every one of them, but this list is very, very small when we consider standard objects. There's only few standard objects. There are only few standard objects that you could access with the platform license. And most of them is inaccessible. Most of them is like opportunity, like campaign, like price, like quote, and so many other standard objects as well. They are inaccessible. You cannot access them if you are a platform license holder. Although if you are like a Salesforce license holder, you could access everything, everything. So what I'm going to do would be like, see, when we come back to Salesforce, you can see we are having 3 platform licenses. And because we have not created any user with this license, so none of them have been consumed and all 3 licenses are available to us. I'm going to take an advantage of this. I would be creating 3 platform users because I'm having 3 licenses. I would be creating 3 platform users. I'll create 3 users and give them platform license. Understood? I'll create 3 users and give them platform license. I'll create one more user. I'm going to give him a Salesforce license. And to your understanding, to make you understand, I'll create a chatter user as well so that you would also understand this. If a chatter user would make a login, how many functionalities he do see? You should also have an idea about this. So, previously I usually don't do this, but now I would be creating, one chatter user as well, so that you would have an idea about collaboration cloud. All right. So in short, if I wanted to summarize how many users I would be creating from now, I am creating 1 Salesforce, 3 platform, and 1 chatter. And that makes it as 5. So I would be creating 5 users. How many users right now we have? Go with users. Like if you go with users, you can see these many, but these 3 users are standard users, right? These 3 are the standard user because we have not created, they were already there. So let's forget about them. Although we have like, I could say that I have like 3 users. I would be creating 5 more, right? So this is how I'm going to do. All right, let's understand. There's one more important topic to get discussed before we go further and create the users. So what I'm going to do would be like, next thing is profiles. Next thing is profiles. I'm just thinking कि मैं आज बता दूं इसको कि मैं एक दिन का गैप लूं इसमें. ऐसी काफी गैप हो चुकी है यार. ठीक है, चलिए देख लेते हैं. See, at the time of user creation, I told you one thing, licenses that have been discussed. Profiles के बारे में थोड़ा सा डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. Although profile itself is going to be a topic, लेकिन थोड़ा सा डिस्कस कर लेते हैं इसके बारे में. हाँ जी. Let me try to give you a short idea, a small idea. What is the role of a profile? See, understand one thing. Let's consider that I'm having 5 Salesforce licenses with me. Let's consider I am having 5 Salesforce licenses. I don't have it. I just have one Salesforce license, 3 platform, and 4,999 charter licenses. I wanted you to make this assumption for now. And I wanted every one of you to believe that we are having 5 Salesforce licenses with us. And with that 5 licenses, I created 5 users. I mean, all of these users, they are having Salesforce license. I hope not, no one is slipping in my class. Things what we are discussing is very essential, understand. If you are feeling drowsy, sleepy, just go and have a sleep. Just complete your sleep whenever you woke up. Refer this from the recording. But right now, I wanted every one of you to concentrate. Because the thing what we are discussing is really, really important. I have 5 Salesforce license. With these 5 Salesforce licenses, I created 5 users. Every one of them, user 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Every one of them is having a Salesforce license. Now, when you hold this license, you could access all of the standard and all of the custom functionalities. You could access all of the standard and custom application. You could access all of the custom and standard tabs. You could access all of the custom and standard objects, fields, every standard and every custom features. That is what is the Salesforce license would grant you. Now, these users could access everything. But then I don't wanting this to get happen. And this is going to be, the kind of anomalies what I'm going to introduce you right now with these users, it's very common. That's a part of the administrator. What is that? I wanted to put certain restrictions. I don't wanted them to access everything. No. Somehow, I wanted that user 1 and 2 should only access the standard functionalities. They should only have the access to the standard object, standard applications, standard tabs, and everything. Only the standard features. And I don't wanted them to access any custom functionality. Just try to understand the example. Don't go in deep. User 3 and 4, I wanted them, they should only have an access to the custom functionalities. I don't want that user 3 and 4 should access any standard object, any standard application, tab, feature, report, everything. They should have the access only on the custom functionalities. On the other hand, user number 5, I wanted him to become like a system administrator so that he could have an access on everything. He could access all of the standard, all of the custom. How can I do this? Because license has given them the ability to do everything. All of them enjoy the same privilege. All of them have the same priority. Because all of them is having a Salesforce license with them. And they are very happy to have it. हंस रहे हैं, मुस्कुरा रहे हैं, गाना गा रहे हैं, डांस कर रहे हैं. I'm holding a Salesforce license with me. And I could access everything. But system administrator knows one thing. Between Salesforce license, all of the Salesforce license are kept inside a standard object called as user license object. User license object. If you want, you can even query that. You know, all of the profiles are being there inside a profile object. Users are kept inside user object. These all are the objects, standard objects. If you want, you can even query on them. You can make a use of Salesforce. Salesforce inspector over here, and you can fire a query. From users. You can fire a query from on the user object. See, this everything I'm looking, these many users I have, right? इतने सारे users हैं मेरे पास में. Few of them are listed out on the user interfaces. बाकी नहीं है. But you can see these many users are already there. Community user you just have created. Right? This everything. You can fire, I mean, see, ये सारा data कहाँ से आ रहा है? This everything is coming from the user object. Profiles के बारे में, if you wanted to know how many profiles I'm having, you can even fire a query on profile. You can even fire a query on profile. All right. I could fire a query. You can even fire the query. So this is what, these are the different profiles that we have. If you wanted to see how many licenses you have, you can fire a query on user license object. That is also one of the object. That is also one of the object, user license. See, this is also one of the, you can fire a query. How to do that, everything would be a part of development. When we're going to learn the development, you will going to see this all right? Don't worry about this. These are the licenses. These are the licenses, all right? Anyways, let's come back to the topic. I am discussing one scenario where users are having the same license, and let's consider they all are having a Salesforce license with them. So having a Salesforce license would actually means you could access every functionality, but rather we wanted to put certain restrictions in a way like user 1 and 2 should have only access to the standard. User 2, 3 and 4 should have the access only on the custom features, whereas 5 can access everything. How we are going to make this possible? This is possible by creating profiles. So now, how to create a profile would be a part of discussion. Obviously, you're going to learn. But understand where this profile actually stands. You know, in my opinion, the profile stands between user and license. On the one hand, if you have a license and if you have a user on the other hand, so should license, whatever the functionalities that license is provided, should everything is going to give to the user, or there are few things that needs to be get omitted? There are few of the things that you can remove. So that is where, that place where profile stands. So profiles are that custom settings, understand? Profiles are that custom settings, the standard settings. There, because there are two types of profiles we're going to learn. That would provide a restriction. That would provide a restriction on what are features, on what kind of functionality should receive to be granted to the users. So it is something like, you know, if this is just an example, that license would provide you 100 things. You can build up a profile in such a way, profile P1 is given to user 1, that user 1 would receive only 50 out of them, and rest of the 50 has been cancelled, has not been given, has been omitted, has been restricted. All right. So profile would put a restriction. It is that mechanism in Salesforce by which we could decide what are the functionalities, what are the features to be given to the particular user, and what are the functions What are the functionalities that should be restricted from the user? So that is what actually a profile would do. And we're going to learn this in very detail, so don't worry about that. Now, in tomorrow's lecture, I'm going to have a discussion on a profile. So licenses we already have understood. We are having two important licenses, and I'll also create a chatter user. Next in line, the next discussion is about profiles. And rather from here, like there are two types of profiles, standard profiles and a custom profile. I'm going to talk on a very important point by tomorrow morning that usually people don't know. People usually don't know about this. Why? Because this is something somebody who actually have worked in real time on this type of scenarios where you have managed the users, you have created the users, you have given them the licenses and a profile. Only they know this. Only they know this. And this is generally is not a part of training. I mean, when somebody is giving you a training, they generally not included this because maybe they don't want it, or maybe they even simply they don't know about this. So by tomorrow morning, we will first of all would talk about profiles. There are two types of profiles, standard profile and a custom profile. And I would be telling you one thing, which is a very, very important point in consider to the real-time experience. When we consider the real, in a real time, if you would be asked to create users, what is going to be your choice at that time? So that is something which we are going to have a discussion by tomorrow morning. All right. That's all for today. Let me now give you this command and you can unmute yourself if you wanted to ask me anything. Please go ahead. Any questions anyone have in mind? Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Pallavi.
Sir, the discussion regarding that leave application project which you have given us.
I have not given it to you. Sachin has given.
Okay.
Sachin gave you
So,
that, right?
uh,
Even I'm really sorry, but I have even not seen what are the entities he have taken inside.
I think complete after completion of admin part, that time we should able to solve it, or I don't know.
I also don't, because I know if I mean
So,
I don't know if there is like anything like you have to create a user, then obviously as and when you learn it, you can only do that, otherwise not.
okay.
So that is something I really don't know.
Okay, sir. Means whenever we complete that portion, then that time only we could create that, right?
I cannot
So
say
whatever
anything
we
about
learned
that.
right now, we have completed. I have completed that much portion,
Mm-hmm.
but rest of the things I could not.
Obviously, if you
Yes,
know, you can complete. If you, I mean, you can practice. If you don't know, how can you build up that?
yes, yes.
All right. Regarding that, you can directly, ask him.
Okay.
I have no idea like what he has given to you.
Okay. So whatever difficulties, I mean, I have to contact with him for this
Uh,
purpose, or I
Arey,
can.
of course, he's also a developer.
No issue, sir.
Hmm. And the things what he has given to you, he is
Okay.
responsible. I am not.
Okay, that means
Mm.
whole and soul that live application is. get resolved by Sachin sir only.
बिल्कुल सही.
Okay, sir.
Any questions? All right then. No questions. Thank you so much for joining.